In 1749, there appeared, about the middle of January, the ensuing advertisement, which seems to have been intended to try how far the credulous folly of the town might be worked upon. At the new theatre in the Haymarket, on Monday next, the 16th instant, is to be seen a person who performs the several most surprising things following, viz. First, he takes a common walking cane from any of the spectators, and thereon plays the music of every instrument now in use, and likewise sings to surprising perfection. Secondly, he presents you with a common wine bottle, which anyone present may first examine. This bottle is placed on a table, in the middle of the stage, and he goes into it, in the sight of all the spectators, and sings in it. During his stay in the bottle, any person may handle it, and see plainly that it does not exceed a common tavern bottle. The advertisement also promised that the conjurer, after the performance, would show to any gentlemen or ladies, for proper consideration, the likeness of any deceased friend or relative, with which they might also converse, would tell their most secret thoughts, and would give them a full view of persons, whether dead or alive, who had injured them. At the same time, there came forth another, which may have either been intended to put the public on their guard by its out-eroding Herod, or to make their credulity, if possible, still more glaring, in case they should accept the invitation of the bottle conjurer. It purported to be issued by Signor Capitello Giumpedo, lately arrived from Italy, a surprising dwarf, no taller than a tobacco pipe, who could perform many wonderful equilibres on the tight and slack rope, transform his body into above 10,000 different shapes and postures, and who, after having diverted the spectators 2 hours and a half, would open his mouth wide, and jump down his own throat. This most wonderfulest wonder of all wonders as ever the world wondered at, expressed his willingness to join in performance with the bottle conjurer musician. Though one might suppose that nothing short of insanity or idiocy could bring spectators on such an occasion, yet it is certain that the theatre was thronged with people of all degrees, from the highest ranks of the peerage down to such of the humblest class as could raise 2 shillings for admission to the gallery. That nothing might be wanting to try the patience of the spectators, not a single fiddle had been provided to amuse them. At length, tired of waiting, they became restive. Catcalls, vociferations, and beating of feet and sticks on the floor, were heard in discordant chorus. At this moment a man came from behind the scenes, and announced that, if the performer did not appear, the money should be returned. This annunciation was succeeded by another person starting up in the pit, and stating that, if double prices were given, the conjurer would get into a pint bottle. This seems to have brought the multitude to the use of the small portion of sense which nature had bestowed on them. They discovered that they had been cheated, and they prepared to take vengeance on the cheater. The throwing of a lighted candle from one of the boxes into the pit was the signal for riot. All who thought that, in such cases, the better half of valor is discretion, now became anxious to secure their retreat. A rush accordingly took place towards the doors, and numerous were the wigs, hats, swords, canes and shoes, that were lost in consequence. A party which had remained behind began, and speedily completed the work of destruction. The benches were torn up, the boxes pulled down, and the scenes broken to pieces. The fragments were then taken into the street, a huge bonfire was made of them, and the stage curtain was hoisted on a pole, as a standard, above the fire. The guards were at last sent for, but before their arrival the mob had disappeared, leaving nothing but smoking embers and a dismantled theatre. For some time after the event, the newspapers were filled with squibs and epigrams. Among the advertisements in ridicule of the bottle conjurers, one of the best purported to be from the body surgeon of the Emperor of Monamungo. He thus terminated the description of his budget of wonders. He opens the head of a justice of peace, takes out his brains, and exchanges them for those of a calf, the brains of a swain, for those of an ass, and the heart of a bully, for that of a sheep, which operations render the persons more rational and sociable creatures than ever they were in their lives.